Am I the a-hole for kicking my dad and his wife out of my house after they said they wanted to name their unborn twins after my deceased siblings? Some background. My 27 female younger brother, sister, and mom passed away in an accident 8 years ago. A father, 52 male, and I used to be very close before this, but we've drifted apart since then. I think some of it has to do with the fact I look a lot like my younger sister. She was always close to my dad, and we would often joke she would take care of him when he got older. My father also isn't really a believer in therapy and refuses to go. When I started going to therapy a few months after the accident, he said that I should be stronger and quote, "stop giving people the satisfaction of seeing you weak." He remarried 2 years ago, but his new wife and I don't get along. Some things she's done include telling my father not to invite me to the wedding, telling him I was bullying her children because I refused to let them have an unsupervised party at my beach house, and I also told them they can GTFO if they continue to treat the staff disrespectfully. Her kids were 18 female and 17 male at the time. When she married my dad, she was also under the impression that the money he spent on her and the house he lived in was his. He never said it was. She just assumed. My mom left me a nice amount of money in her will, and I used it to invest and also work in the tech field, so I'm well off. However, considering my age, I don't think she was expecting this, and I don't think she was very pleased either. On to the issue. At their gender reveal party, they were expecting a boy and a girl. My dad announced they will be naming the kids after my dad's siblings. I'm shocked, and I interrupt to tell him that naming the twins after my siblings is weird. His wife just tells me to stop being jealous. At this point, I'm pissed, so I ignored her and tell my dad that he would always stick up for me in the past, yet let his wife belittle me now. How hurt I was he didn't invite me to his wedding, how he never once said he was proud of me or even a thank you or a love you after I bought his house for him, and basically said that if my siblings were here, they'd be disappointed in him, and ashamed to call him dad since he's been a pretty crappy one so far. My father told me to get out of his house, and as I am about to leave, his wife comes up to me and I kid you not says, "Don't let the door hit your butt on the way out." So I walk back and tell my dad that he and his wife had a month to leave my house. Well, wife started crying. Dad said I was pathetic and her family has been messaging me telling me to apologize. But my friends and family on both my mom and dad's side agree with me, although they think I should let my dad stay and kick the wife out. However, I want both out. I get that I acted a bit emotionally, and I'm starting to feel bad for stressing a pregnant woman. So am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before the little edit/update. Not the a-hole. Kick them out. They shouldn't name their twins after your dad's siblings. It's totally wrong because your dad's siblings were born to your dad and mom, not stepmom. They need to come up with other names. Your stepmom is a piece of work. I'm sorry for your loss of your mom and siblings. The way new wife has worked to cut Opie out of her father's life, it's not impossible she's seeking to overwrite Opie's siblings in her husband's mind. She was probably thinking dad has lots of money and valuable property she can get if she pushes Opie out. Ding ding ding! This happened to me and my brother when my dad went off the deep end during his midlife crisis. Like Opie, joke was on her because she never would have gotten the house my dad lived in, as it was basically willed to me and my brother. So there was no way for trashy girlfriend to get her grubby hands on it no matter how deep of a wedge she made. She didn't even have a lot of money either, just more than she did since she refused to get a job, whereas he had a state pension, military benefits, Medicare, part-time job. I'm lucky though that my dad eventually wised up when she tried to pass her 4th pregnancy off as his. It wasn't possible because he had a vasectomy 20-ish years prior, and dumped her. She was a walking dumpster fire, and the whole relationship was a Jerry Springer Show episode. Stick to your guns. Your dad has become mental, and your stepmom is the reason. Get them out of your house and go low contact or no contact until your dad gets therapy and comes to his senses. I know you said he doesn't believe in therapy, but make it conditional if he wants a relationship with you. He's wholly dependent on Opie, for home and finances at least, so he has a stake, something to lose. It's abundantly obvious where his loyalty lies, and it's not with his daughter. And now for the update. Hi everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you for all the condolences. I really appreciate it. To address some things, my dad wouldn't be homeless if I kicked him out. He still has a well-paying job, and the old house we used to live in before the accident which is under his name. Also, the house he currently lives in is under my name. I bought the house for him as a surprise, a way to show that I appreciate him and hoping that it might help repair our relationship. I didn't really care to go through changing the names on the house, because he believed I owed it to him since he raised me, and I just went with it to make him happy. I never really thought I would try to argue against this. And to be honest, I feel pretty low doing this. But I have been footing the bill for the house and most of his lifestyle, and I'm tired of them showing zero appreciation. I guess the names were just the straw that broke the camel's back. A lot of people also mentioned how naming the twins after my siblings isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I agree, if they were doing it with an honest intent to respect them or using middle names. But I can tell my father's doing this because he is still grieving, which is why I was upset with him during the party. I'm not the best at expressing myself, so some of my anger might have been misplaced, but I was more frustrated with the fact that he's trying to cope with their loss by trying to replace them, and in a way replace me. Also, I'm kicking them out legally. I've given him and his wife a 30-day notice and have a lawyer. I know some of you have suggested to go no contact with him. I might after this, but I want to give him the ultimatum of therapy. Even if that doesn't repair our relationship, I'm hoping it will at least help him grieve in an appropriate way. My dad and I have agreed to talk to you this weekend without his wife present, and I will update if anything changes. If it doesn't, then I'll just update at the end of the month when they leave. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting someone move into my bedroom which I don't use after they were outed and disowned? Context. My mother came out as bi when she was younger, and was disowned by her parents when she started dating a woman. My grandmother came back into her life once my mother had my older sister and me. My sister caught on quicker and chose to dissociate with her. I was younger and didn't know. Due to this, I was named the sole inheritor to everything my grandmother owned, including her house. My grandmother's final spiteful move against my mother, it seems. I, female 18, recently started college and got a scholarship which included living on campus. I thought it would be a good idea for me to get out of my comfort zone and have a level of independence. My sister's best friend, Jen, 21 female, was recently disowned by her family after being outed, so she spent Thanksgiving with us / staying with us. Obviously, my mother has taken Jen in. The day after Thanksgiving, my mom told me that Jen will be permanently moving in. Both her and my sister go to school about 30 minutes away, so it's more convenient. My mom told me that she's going to give Jen my room, as it's not convenient for her and my sister to share a room. Up until this point, I was on board and felt bad, but I had a problem with this. We have a 3 to 4 bedroom house. The 4th one is currently being used as a storage room. So I don't think it's fair for me to be displaced when there is a room she can move into. The stuff inside of it can easily be moved into closets around the house and is a big room. My mother argued that I go to school 6 hours away and will only be home a couple of weeks out of the year, and it's selfish to keep my room. Jen also likes the fact that my room has a balcony and stated she liked being on the same level as everyone else / felt isolated sleeping on the ground floor. I said that she was prioritizing someone else over her own child, and she said I didn't have a say because I'd never be discriminated against based on my sexuality and didn't know what it's like to be disowned because of it. I told her I felt like she was disowning me right now, and there was a bedroom for Jen to move into, but she couldn't have my room. Next day rolls around and Jen starts thanking me for letting her move into my room and starts talking about redecorating, painting, etc. I'm confused and tell her that's not happening, and that there was a bedroom downstairs if she wanted to move in. My mom and sister both got angry, and I was getting overwhelmed and shouted, "I won't let you kick me out of my own home. That is my bedroom and will continue to be my bedroom. If you want to choose Jen over me, go live in another house and have your family there." Apparently now I've made Jen feel unwelcome and she thinks I hate her because of her sexuality. My mom and sister keep making comments about being inhospitable and can't believe she pulled the "I own this house," even though she doesn't pay any bills. I have paid a tax on the house through inheritance money and will live in my grandmother's house. It is absolutely unfair to be kicked out of your room by someone else, especially when you are the owner of this home. Your mother obviously has a blind spot when it comes to this specific topic, and I'm sure there is some family bitterness towards you for inheriting everything. However, you have some difficult conversations ahead of you, independently of whether or not you should have to move. If you are really not providing anything to the household economically, what is going to happen? If they all actually got upset and took you up on your offer to move out, what would you do? If you can't put any money into the home, you are also at the mercy of their contributions, whether you like it or not. It's time to consider what your long-term plans are, and if the residence in your home is in them. Opie can rent out the house to a family until she's finished with university, then decide to either keep it or sell it. She has options. You're the homeowner. It doesn't matter if you don't pay the bills. Jen can move into the spare bedroom in the other part of the house. There's no reason you should have to be displaced in your own home. From what I understood, it's your house, and not your mother's. Your mother had no right to say that your room would go to Jen. Jen was an a-hole too for talking about redecorating your room. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling the kids their dad took this year's Christmas away from them? So I'm a working mother of 3 kids, 9, 11, 5. My husband used to have a job but was let go at the end of 2020 and hasn't worked since then. Yes, he worked in few places here and there like the gas station, but he couldn't keep it because he lacked motive and passion. All in all, our financial situation isn't so great, but I've decided to start saving money to be able to get the decent Christmas celebration the kids wanted and couldn't get in 2019 to 2020. I've put money aside to buy decoration and prepare meals and also gifts. But just a couple days ago, found out that my husband had taken $500 out of my account, and from the money I saved, the rest of my salary goes to bills and grocery, and gave them to his little brother to help him out in child support. I found out I'd had a big argument with him about how he essentially stole this year's Christmas from the kids to help his irresponsible brother pay for child support. My husband apologetically said he had no choice and was pushed by family to contribute and pay part of his brother's child support. Otherwise, they won't see their nephews/grandchildren, since his brother's baby mom is vicious and spiteful. The kids came in and I just told them that unfortunately I can't afford Christmas this year, and it's because of their dad who took it away from them by taking the money I saved. There was utter silence, and my husband glanced at me in disbelief. He told the kids to go to their rooms and screamed asking what the heck is wrong with me to spout this kind of BS in front of the kids. I said it's the truth, and that I sacrificed so much to save money to give the kids some joy this holiday. Then he selfishly took the money and gave it away. He said he would pay me back in time before Christmas, but I don't see this possible since it doesn't even have gas money. He got pissed and said I shouldn't tell the kids that he took their Christmas money, and that the psychological damage I'm doing to the kids is worth a lot more than money, and accused me of turning the kids against him and making them resent him for trying to help out a family member. He stormed off and spent time with his family, who accused me of causing my children mental traumas by saying their dad took Christmas away from them and alienating them from him. Adding this, just wanted to say that the kids know that mommy is the one who brings home money, and so if Christmas gets canceled because of money, then they'll think it's because of me. I had many conversations with them about it. The last thing I want is to see them disappointed in me for something that is not my fault. Thank you. Now for the comments. Your husband sucks. Be done with his deadbeat self and family. At least alone, you won't have to worry about him stealing from you in addition to sucking up the family resources with no return. This, and maybe when you ditch him, his family will come together to pay you some child support so you can afford Christmas presents. Yeah, might want to separate your bank account now and kick him out. Why should Opie take the blame for having no Christmas? She's the only breadwinner in the house. She sacrificed to make this happen. The husband needs to take some responsibility for this and explain to the kids why I felt his brother deserved Christmas more than they did. Opie, I would leave this guy. He's dishonest, lazy, and steals from his own family. Huge character flaws that don't make for a good marriage. You will always be giving 110%, and he will always be taking. We'll see if his brother gives him $500 to help when he owes you child support. Everyone sucks here. 1. Your husband is a deadbeat, which apparently runs in his family. No way he should have used that money to pay his brother's child support, especially when he's not doing anything to support his own family. Deadbeats suck. Looks like you married into a family of them. 2. You played a large part in ruining your children's Christmas, but not only airing out your marital disputes to them, but also just tossing out Christmas altogether because your husband is a jerk. You had an opportunity to work with your children to teach them that Christmas isn't all about the money/gifts/things, and about family and togetherness. You still do. And instead, you decided to use them to punish your husband. You and your husband need to have one-of-life conversations. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for leaving her with an apartment she can't pay for herself? So after 6.5 years in a relationship with my girlfriend, let's call her Maria, we got together when we were 18/19 years old, and over the course of the years we have experienced a long-distance relationship where Maria studied in another town, and I prepared myself for serving in the military. As Maria studied, she left for Hawaii to study abroad, and when my 1 year of service were finished and she got back from Hawaii, we moved in together. 4 years passes and she got her master's degree, and I managed to get a bachelor's degree. We've had our ups and downs during this time together, and we decided to move again. She already had a plan but could not manage it alone since rent was too high. Maria wanted to move to the big city where she could get a good paying job, and myself wanted to move to another town to continue studying. But personally, I did not want to leave Maria again. So for her, I moved to the big city as well. Now, after 3 months, she all of a sudden decides to tell me she wants to break up because she has lost the spark we once had. On top of this, Maria claims that she wanted to split up for over a year, but was too insecure about it and wanted to try and see if we lived somewhere else she would not feel she had during the prior year. So now I can't stay in the apartment. I have to get out, but she wants me to pay for rent until the landlord finds someone else for it. But I never signed a contract. It's all in her name. So I'm packing my bags and never looking back. Am I the a-hole for leaving as it is? If you're not on the lease and she doesn't want to be a couple anymore, it's her problem if she can't afford rent. Exactly. I'm thinking there's a reason Opie wasn't put on a lease. Also, if Opie wasn't put on a lease, then her eligibility was determined solely on her income, not their combined income. And she likely can pay her rent. Maybe just barely, but still. Otherwise, I doubt she would have gotten the place to begin with. So let me get this straight. She, 1, convinces Opie to move to a city he didn't really want to move to, that she can't afford. 2, dumps him. 3, tells him she wanted to dump him a year ago. 4, kicks him out of the apartment they share in the city she wanted to move to. 5, and still expects him to pay her rent? Laughing my butt off, ma'am. You do not get to drag someone across the country with you. Dump them, insult them, kick them out, and then hold your hand out for rent money? Ma'am, the audacity